Shibashi Lawrence McElroy here with Water Tiger School, Taijiquan. I don't think anyone will have any issue whatsoever identifying what time of year this particular video was shot and uploaded. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Since we launched our channel in March of 2020, this is only the third time I've worn this t-shirt. I'm not sure why we missed the holiday season of 2021, but just after Christmas in 2020, it was the 28th of December for a Water Tiger School for Sachem video. And then last year, it was December 15th for a Tai Chi and Qigong training video, threading the 9-holed pearl, or maybe sewing your Santa costume if you're the Grinch. I don't know. Anyway, so today we're going to start with single piece, a single posture, a single movement from a set known as Shibashi. We'll talk about that a little bit as we get to that particular portion of the video. That's new to Water Tiger School's lineage. It's still in the early stages, so cross your fingers that I don't screw it up. And then something that we had initially decided that we wouldn't put on the YouTube channel because we wanted to save it for other purposes. But situations suddenly, not suddenly, but recently arose. Then made me think it was a good idea to share it. A little something that we call at Water Tiger School, a taste of the 24. And again, we'll talk more about that as we get to it. So I'm going to finish my mint here. I'm going to get a drink. Because if you watch these videos, you know, me be a thirsty boy. And we'll get busy. So we are a little bit early in our sequencing. It is the right week, but we've been trending. Let's just do a little shake. Just get things a little bit loose before we do our warm-up. We've been tending toward when the week comes around, it's usually the end of the week. And we're doing this the beginning of our YouTube week. Just because, the holiday is this weekend. So there's that with which to contend. And I also want to get this out there first part of the week for Water Tiger School reasons. Little huggers. So since Shibashi is new to Water Tiger School, still sort of deep in the research. However, what I found, although every time I've heard or seen or participated in a workshop or something, or somebody has participated in World Tai Chi Day that we host on Long Island and has facilitated Shibashi, they say Shibashi. But we've discovered, apparently, the Mandarin is actually Shibashi. Just FYI, I'm not going to change the way I say Shibashi. So it's been around for a while. Late 70s, early 80s, Professor Lin Hao Shang, I'm terrible at Chinese names, who was a Qigong master, apparently, wanted to combine the elements that he knew from the art of Taijiquan with his Qigong experience, which gives this sort of the Tai Chi Qigong name, which makes sense. However, it's not, we've done a lot of Tai Chi Qigong from our lineage over the last almost 4 years now. But that's sort of a different view. Yes, some of the movements are similar, but it's based on the fact that that Qigong is based on yin-yang theory, which is indeed Tai Chi theory, as opposed to taking the movements of the art and reinterpreting them for Qigong. Although not all the movements of Shibashi resemble postures all that much, a lot of them do. And the research has also revealed there are actually 8 sets of 18 movements. Oh, and by the way, Shibashi, we've seen, again, a lot of research, weighting different sides. It's almost balanced, but it tends to be a little heavier on translating Shibashi just simply as 18. Most people will say it translates as 18 movements or 18 postures. 6 of one, half a dozen of another, as my mom would say. So anyway, they all have their own individual sort of health benefits, but generally, practice as a whole, we're doing one piece. The set is thought to be good for maintaining all-around good health and well-being. You know, one, you're moving. Two, the kinds of movements that you're doing is activating different channels through the body. For instance, what we're doing today for our warm-up, the posture movement that we call, it's the 7th one, we call it casting your cares. It has a lot of different names: holding the ball, lift the ball, lifting the ball of chi. I kind of like this one, raising the sun. But we're going to stay with casting your cares, casting all your care upon the divine. And there are other names too, but those were the ones that we wanted to share with you. So the movement is said to be beneficial for insomnia. So you might want to pull this out if you're having difficulty sleeping. It helps to balance blood pressure. And I think that's very much through all 18 movements. You'll see that particular therapeutic quality. The lifting movement activates the spleen channel and helps with the spleen's holding function. And you know, spleen's very important for our digestive health and nutrients and that sort of thing. I'm not a doctor. And by focusing on the upward movement, you'll induce awareness and calmness in the mind and stimulate the strength of the spleen channel. It is a very peaceful set. I mean, all 18 movements can really help relax you and energize you. So casting the care, there tends to be in all the movements some sort of pumping action. And, you know, whenever you pump the legs, you're also activating the heart muscle. So you have that. And the twisting motion, as we go from side to side, will also put that twisting quality in the Sangio, the triple burner. So that's good. Breath pattern, a lot of times you'll see people who are teaching, it's like just breathe. You know, what Ken Cohen would call Taoist breath, because you just let breath be natural, whatever it is that, you know, whatever pattern your breath follows. I might suggest a breath pattern. I probably will suggest a breath pattern. I would say an inhale on the down and an exhale on the up. But that's the movement. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but if I'm twisting and turning up and slightly back to the left, my right heel is coming up off the ground. Flat through the center, as I turn to the right, my left heel is coming up and off the ground. Down and up, down and up. And sort of notice what the hands are doing just naturally. Then when I turn to the left, my left hand is sort of swinging naturally behind my left hip and glutes, and my right hand starting to swing out and to the left. When I pump down and over to the right, the same thing happens, but a mirror image. The right hand starts to swing behind the right hip and right glute, and the left hand starts to swing up and away. And we just more or less accent that as we go. So I'm going to start with an inhale down, and notice where the hands are. They sort of open up and away from the body. I'm sort of looking at the monitor, just checking, and it's like, yeah, the green from the Grinch just bleeds all over everything around it with the quality of our camera. Sorry about that, folks. So inhale, and I'm going to go to my left first. So my right hand's going to swing up and over to the back left corner. And when the left hand swings behind, you probably can't see, but it's going to have that palm down-ish activation, sort of leading with this side of my wrist behind. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Oops, inhale, exhale, 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 inhale. But breathe when you have to. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Keep going. Inhale, and, oops, sorry. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Sorry for that stutter. I thought I was going to be able to move right around and do it again and just fall into the pattern. Sort of the challenge, if you will, and something that still has that new set smell. Flexibility, changing what you're doing, isn't always easy when you're still generating familiarity with what it is that you're doing. Let's slow it down again. They told me if I was going to turn around, I should probably have everybody stop and then start again. And my ego got in the way. And as we know, the ego is a liar. Now I started with the swing of the right hand to the left while I was facing you. So I'm going to finish with the left hand swinging to the right. Not on this one, but on this one. Now Shibashi has its own closing type movement. So if we're just doing the one piece, we'll default to the Water Tiger School closing. So notice I'm standing on my blue lines. If you have been following us, you know what they mean. That's my shoulder width. My hands are palm down-ish. They don't have to be parallel to the earth, but they're flexed so the palms are down toward the earth. I'm going to float the arms up, out, away from my body, and as I do that, I'm going to, whatever time it takes for them to get to their height, which is just about chest level, that's what it takes for me to settle into my right leg. Left heel releases when it has to. As the hands roll in as if on top of a beach ball filled with helium, I'm going to draw in that left foot. Again, the time it takes the hands to travel in closer to the body is the time it should take the foot to travel in. Heel descends as it needs to because the rest of the descent of the hands. You're redividing the weight equally between the 2 feet. And since I raised up out of the body, I'm going to settle down into it and bring the hands to my Shia Dantian acupuncture points. There you go. Casting your cares from the Water Tiger School perspective from the first set of Shibashi. So we'll be, weaving those into our warm-ups for our, probably just our Tai Chi sessions moving forward, but we might also use them for some Qigong. For instance, what appears to probably be in rotation for our next video in 3 weeks in the Qigong Shuffle. It wouldn't hurt to warm up before we do it. So we might do a little Shibashi before that, or something else, I don't know. We'll decide as we get there. So, a taste of the 24. Came about a number of years ago. Water Tiger School used to host an event that we called Tai Chi in the Park. Mr. Zhao, in his book, there's a little author's note at the preface that was about Wouldn't it be wonderful if Tai Chi was practiced in all the wonderful parks we have throughout the United States? Hey, good idea. So we started it halfway across the country. This is being shot and uploaded on Long Island in New York. And the first Tai Chi in the Park that Water Tiger School hosted for a number of years in the late 90s was in Des Moines, Iowa. But anyway, as we went through almost 2 decades on Long Island hosting Tai Chi in the parks, we started to feel that some of the things that we had in rotation for our foci for those mornings maybe getting a little stale in some people's minds. So we started to build some new material. This was born out of that. Taste of the 24 takes the 4 postures of what some would call the first section of the 24, parting wild horse's mane, white crane spreads its wings, brush knee, step and strike, playing the pei pa. And it weaves the 4 of them together in single repetitions of each. If you know the 24, you know parting wild horse's mane, usually 3 reps. White crane, yes, 1. Then brush knee, step and strike, 3 reps. And then yes, pei pa once. You'll also notice, if you go back and look at the comparison videos, we've done comparison videos on how different people get into white crane from parting wild horse's mane. There's also one that explores how different people, different lineages, get from the 3rd brush knee into pei pa. The way we do it in this particular floor exercise is different than the way we play it in the 24. Now, that is a good thing. And it's one of the reasons that we don't have any much. Let me rephrase that. Let me clarify. Let me caveat. That we actually think it's a good thing that people innovate and come up with these fresh approaches to our Tai Chi to kind of, if you know us, you know variety is the spice of Tai Chi. And the reason for that is it gives us new perspective, a new way to explore our understanding of this art that we practice. So we think it's a good thing. Some people don't. I just read a short essay by a Taoist writer and martial artist whom I admire greatly. And he questioned the shortening of anything, that it should just, everybody should be doing the long form. That was the gist that I got of what his perspective was. He did soften that through the essay, but we humbly disagree. We think it's a good thing. But you have to understand the 4 postures. So this is why the lines are here. Our postures are based on shoulder width. So the 2 4 stance postures that we do, parting wild horse's mane and brush knee, step and strike, should have this distance. And we measure our shoulder width from the drop of the shoulder, not the outside of the delt, not the very top of the shoulder, but sort of just, we used to always say where the slope of the top of the shoulder started. Like if Ant-Man were walking out across your shoulder, as a matter of fact, it's probably in the early days in these videos, that's what I would say. But now I sort of go to where I can feel the edge of the bone joint. That should split that heel in half. Same on this side. That's my shoulder width. I'm not outside of that. We sometimes call it a drip line. I'm not inside of that. I am right on that, splitting the foot in half. So this is my width. For the 4 stance postures, what you'll need to know, turning the back foot out around a 45, so 45-ish, right? Not everybody has that flexibility. You may have to shorten or narrow that angle. So it's not a 45, maybe it's a 40, maybe it's a 35. I really urge you not to go out toward a 90. But notice I did that by turning on the heel. I do that by turning on the ball of the foot. My heels are no longer shoulder width. Shoulder width is always determined by where the heels are, not where the balls of the feet are. Then I'm just going to sort of choose a place to plop that left foot forward, closer in the direction I'm facing. I'm going to square off the hips, making sure that I'm lengthening that back leg, not just keeping it at the same fold and twisting the knee in. That would be bad. I want the toes of my front foot forward or in. Out isn't good. And because we'll be stepping into this, you want to make sure that you can really feel that those toes are forward and not going out. They can also be in, right? And my end of my stance, knee over ankle is safest. Knee over the top of the foot from a water tiger school perspective is okay, right? But this is safest. Don't be knee over toes, and especially not knee beyond toes. And this is our fore stance. The hips are square. So this is my left hip. It points right directly to the left side of the space. This is my right hip. It points right directly to the right side of the space. I'm not at an angle here. I'm at an angle here. I step and I turn into my stance. Excuse me. So weights on the back leg, crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot, basic vertical alignment. Settle down because I just fell over. That was embarrassing, right? And step. I urge you, if you're not familiar with shoulder width, that you put a mark on the floor or count boards or something so you know that you're putting that heel in the right spot. But notice here, my shoulders and my hips are at this angle. I'm going to turn and boom. And that's where I'm at for the end of Parting the Wild Horse's Mane. That's where I'm at for the end of Brush Knee, Step and Strike. And it's exactly the same, except sort of a mirror image on the other side. And I wouldn't say exactly, it might be exactly the same. Because maybe you have issues with your left ankle and foot that you don't have with your right, and it can't be at the 45. That's me. We'll see if it's today. It's a very wet day for mid-December. And a lot of times that sets it off. Oops. I have screws in my left ankle and foot. I actually sort of mathematically have more screws now than I did at surgery because one of them broke a couple of years ago. Yes, it was not pleasant. It was just the initial breaking that there was great pain. Once things settled down from the break, more or less every orthopedist I talked to was like, the screw is just part of your foot. So it's part of that bone in there, and that's fine. So anyway, I digress. This is my fore stance. This is what we call a right fore stance. The first one for us was a left fore stance. Some people will call this a left fore stance because the weight to get into it starts in the left foot and moves to the right. But here, once again, my hip's square. Even though now this is my back hip instead of my front hip, my left hip is still pointed to the left side of the space, my right hip to the right. Those are the two fore stance posture positions for Parting the Wild Horse's Mane and Brush Knee, Step and Strike. We have a false stance, a single leg stance, whatever you want to call it, for white crane. So this is the white crane version. Crown pointed head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball, in this case of the right foot. Foot still at the 45. The foot is not in the air. The ball of the foot is resting, but there's no real weight on it. You can weight it if you need to. Right? It should be just really 100% back here. It's touching. Once it touches, it establishes part of your contact with your earth, it establishes a root, but it really doesn't take any of the weight off of you. In other words, I should be able to lift the foot with no changes in the back leg. Ideally, perfect world, right? If I need to be 98.2 or 95.5 or something, 98, 90.10, something like that, so I don't fall over, that's okay. The only difference in Pei Pa is it's the heel that's down instead of the ball of the foot. And notice when I made that switch from ball foot down to heel, all I did was drop my heel. So my leg is essentially in the same position it was, but the heel is now down instead of the ball of the foot. A lot of people will want to put the heel of the foot where the ball of the foot was, but notice what happened. I had to sink lower to do that, or fall my weight forward. Boom. And by the way, we've talked about this before. Some people believe this is crane stance, and it's understandable. It's actually called crane stance, right? But we don't like at Water Tiger School, we don't like this groin opening. in this particular spot because we have a martial orientation. We want to close it off some so it's a little bit less easy to get a foot up between those thighs. So we don't really do what's normally known in most circles as a cat stance, where I'm almost where I am cross-stepping here, but it just tightens that space a little bit. So those are your 4 stances. Really 3 stances, because it's an empty stance and the difference is ball, foot, and heel. But they are different. So the first posture, into the first posture, parting the wild horse's mane. If my left foot is forward, my left hand's going to be right in front of the center of my chest. Right? There's the Grinch's nose. There's my lower center of chest, just really right and slightly above my solar plexus. That's where that palm goes. Right? So the center of the palm, the Lao Gong point, the temple of possibility, right in front of the nose. The right leg is the empty leg. The right hand is down. And really all that I'm doing there is flexing the wrist and letting the hand set and sort of dribbling a basketball. And that's the end of parting the wild horse's mane. The end of brush, knee, step, and strike, the left hand will be as the right hand was in parting the wild horse's mane. It has that activation. The right hand is, well, for us, that slight angle down. You might be out here, and that's okay. But you're kind of missing your target. And that's a left parting or brush, knee, step, and strike for us. So again, parting wild horse's mane, don't worry about the ball thing I just did. Brush, knee, step, and strike. Other side, left foot out at a 45, right toes forward. Parting wild horse's mane, right foot is forward, right hand's right in front of the center of the chest, left hand dribbling the basketball. That's parting the wild horse's mane. Note the structure here. I'm not in too close. I'm not out too far. When you come in too close, you can feel the compression, especially in your biceps, but your biceps and triceps, a little bit in the top of the forearm. When you go out too far, it starts to pull the shoulder, especially the back of the delt, into the top of the back and the trap. Now you can feel that overextension. So you're finding that spot, and notice where the elbow is. Right? If you stick your elbow out like that, feel it in the connection point between the space between the biceps and the triceps, in the shoulder. My shoulder is already starting to go, what are you doing? And all I do is, it's almost like there's a plumb line, a weighted line on that elbow, and it's slightly down. And now I feel like this arm can just set here of its own accord. I don't have to hold it up. It's structure that's doing it. So, parting the wild horse's mane, brush, knee. White crane, I'm going to set the weight back into my right leg. The earth is holding me up, not my muscles. Earth and structure, gravity and structure. My extended leg is the down hand. The weighted leg is the up hand. You can almost think young side, weight, up. Empty leg, yin. Leg empty, hand down. And that's white crane. On this side. And on that side, it's here. Caw! And there's white crane. End of posture, pei pa. Remember, the heel is down instead of the ball of the foot. The leg that is full is, that has the weight. The back leg is the back hand in this instance. Notice the difference. Right? Before, that was could be the active hand with the active leg. Tai Chi changes things. Teaches you how to do something and then it changes it. Right? That's sort of what this is about. Now, our end of posture of pei pa, notice you can see that I have that alignment. Middle finger, middle finger. There's still, the palms are still on that same line. Right? I'm not crossing. Oops, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. But I don't have a big gap. They're right at like a sheet of paper between the palms of the hands. And they're at that 45. And again, I'm not overextending. I'm not compressing. It's just right. Just like porridge. And this is pei pa, my right leg, back hand, extended leg, extended hand, pei pa on my left leg. Now, how do we weave those together? Figure it out. Bye. No. So that ball I told you not to pay attention to. Ball is about the size of our torso. So it's not up here. It's not down here. You know, we're not Andre the Giant or the Mountain. We're not Billy Barty or Tyrion Lannister. We are our own torso, right? And see the roundness. That's the beginning of posture of parting a wild horse's mane. So when I'm in the right foot, right hand's the top of the ball, left hand's the bottom. Ideally, as we move into and through this sequence, as you weight the leg, the hands are moving into position, and by the time the ball is there, the foot is where it needs to be. Right? But again, notice, even though I'm stepping forward and closer to the camera, I still have this orientation. Now you may have to look to see where you have to put the foot, and that's okay. You don't want to get over that. So you know where your shoulder width is. Boom. And as I turn forward, fingertips are going to pass very close together. You may even brush them to begin with. And I'm going to end in that into posture position. And there's my horse's mane. From there, I'm going to sit back into the right leg. As the right hand comes up and empty the left leg, the left hand's going to go down. And I'm in my white crane. From this position, I'm going to twist to my capability to my left with the right hand across the top. Left hand kind of goes behind the rear end. And then the left hand arcs up as the right hand arcs down. And then when my left hand gets above my left knee, ideally, but you may not be able to, you can pick up that leg, look at the right hand obliquely over the right shoulder, brush the knee, ideally not touching it, but if you want to, actually push the knee out and get your foot to your shoulder width. See how open I am. I'm going to turn into that end of posture of brush knee. So dribbling the basketball now on my left leg, and my end of posture for brush knee, step, and strike, I have blocked and drawn my opponent in this direction. So I'm striking slightly down and hitting kind of their kidney area or their rib cage. From there, setting the weight into the right, the extended right hand is going to set back and the left hand is going to extend, and there's pei pa. Now my right foot is still at my 45-ish position, so I can turn, form the ball, step, parting the wild horse's mane, white crane, to the left, to the right, bring the knee width, look at the right hand obliquely over the right shoulder, step, brush knee, pei pa, turn to form the ball, form the step, parting the wild horse's mane, white crane, turn to the left, turn to the right, brush knee, step, and strike, sit back, oops, boom, pei pa. Sorry about my stumble. I have to do it one more time so I can feel good about myself, parting the wild horse's mane. Note the end of posture. Sometimes when we start moving, we start doing this. Set back, white crane, turn to the left, turn to the right. Wonder if anybody knows that reference. Raising Arizona. Boom. Setting back and pei pa. A little casual closing. I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll my weight forward. Hands up over the top of the ball. Bring in my back leg. Sit down. A little rebound. As my hands turn green. As I reach my Xia Dantian acupuncture point. And shake that out. So there is, for us, playing that sequence to the left. We consider when we open a form, and our first step is to the left, that we play a form to the left. So if we were opening the 24 to move into our first parting the wild horse's mane, the left foot goes out first to the left. And that's also the first step in the first parting the wild horse's mane. Other people, for the same reason, they would call this a right parting the wild horse's mane, because the weight started at the right. If I am going to play and step my left foot out to the left, it's first going to have to drop to the right. I understand both. I prefer my choice, the Water Tiger School choice, our lineage's choice. So the other, I'm going to get a drink. Imagine that. Oh, wait, you don't have to, because I'm about to do it. 4 postures. Parting the wild horse's mane, which, as we pointed out many times, everybody does this stuff differently. Even over time, some of us are doing things differently that we didn't used to. We've addressed our evolution in our Tai Chi numerous times, including one that just a recent, our last video was on evolution. It kind of was weighted more to stretching than it was the Tai Chi. But as we've addressed, like the differences in how people get into pei pa and that sort of thing, when we've talked about evolution of brush knee, evolution of cloud hands at one point, I believe, as we were doing board the left, look to the right. So settle the weight here, right? Same movements, different side. So I'm going to settle the weight into the left, forming the ball, step right. Right hand's going to come up to be right in front of the Grinch's nose. Left hand's going to dribble the basketball. I'm going to set back, filling, in this case, the left leg, left hand up, right hand down. I'm going to turn to the right. I'm going to come back to the left as the left hand passes ideally over that knee. I'm going to look at the left hand obliquely over the left shoulder. I'm going to brush that knee. I'm going to step. I'm going to strike. I'm going to set the weight back into the left. Left hand's going to draw closer to the body. Right hand farther away. Pei pa. Turn into forming the ball to the left. Step to the right. Parting the wild horse's mane. Filling the left leg. Filling the left leg. Filling the left leg. Left hand's going to rise up. Emptying the right leg. Right hand's going to drop down. White crane. Caw! Turning to the right. Coming back to the left. Oops. Looking at that left hand obliquely over the left shoulder. Brush knee, step and strike. Pulling back in. Pei pa. Since I hit the fan once again. So I can feel better about myself. I'm very insecure. I have a big ego. Those two things cohabitate in me. That left hand obliquely over the left shoulder, brush knee step. And strike. Drawing the weight into the left. Left hand closer to, right hand farther away, having that alignment. One more time on this side. Then we'll do a round facing away from the camera. So we all have the same orientation, and you don't have to worry about mirror image stuff. Now, extended leg is the hand that's farther away from the body. Settling the weight rolling the weight forward, rolling the weight forward, bringing in that left foot, pressing that left heel down. Notice I lengthened my body, and a little rebound. A taste of the 24. So if I face away from the camera, I should have made my mark so I knew where I needed to go. So shoulder width doesn't change. All that's changed is the direction that I am facing. So I'm going to bounce the weight into the left, turn the right foot out, settle the weight into the right, forming the ball. You can take your time, just settle here and go, okay, I have my ball, my foot's where it's supposed to be. And now I need to find, where does he want me to step? Okay, there, I found that. All right, now I'm going to turn forward. It's okay to do that. That's how we start. We start and our movement is so static. So this, then that, then what am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, it's this. Teacher, line, right? That's where we are when we start. One of the reasons that variety is the spice of Tai Chi is that it challenges our understanding and makes us a beginner again. So we're always supposed to be a beginner, regardless of if we do these kinds of exercises. It's just a way to sort of, force that to happen, if you will. So I'm going to bounce the weight into the right, forming the ball, stepping left, my shoulder width, turning forward. My left hand, although you can't see it, is right in front of the center of my chest, my right hand down. Settling the weight into my right hand's up, my left hand's down. Turning to the left hand up, right hand down. Left hand, it's what we call at Water Tiger School, Fulton skyhook moment. Google it. Drawing that left knee in, looking at the right hand obliquely over the right shoulder. Step, strike, settle the weight into the right hand closer to, left hand farther away. Playing the pei pa, turning to hold the ball. Step, just 3 rounds. Second, horse's mane to the left. Second, white crane. My white crane was confused. It had pei pa foot instead of white crane foot. See if our pei pa has the white crane foot. Nope, there's 2. Turning to form the ball. Stepping. Horse's mane. White crane. Fulton skyhook moment. Brush knee, step and strike. Boom. Playing the pei pa. And a little, that was round 3, I believe. If it wasn't, I apologize. Guys? No, they don't know. Boom. All right, another side. So that was our left. Here's our right, because my foot is going to step. My right leg is going to step out. Again, if you need it, where I got to step right there, right? How does that feel? Okay, how does that feel? It feels pretty good right there. I think that's it. Or forming the ball, left hand on top, right hand at the bottom. Ball is the size of my torso. By the time the ball is done, the foot is there. Horse's mane, right hand right in front of the center of my chest. I'm going to step back into white crane. I'm going to turn to the right, come back to the left. Right hand's going to bring in that right knee. I'm going to brush that right knee. I'm going to turn forward, step, and strike as I feel the left leg this time. Left hand closer to, right hand farther away. Pei pa. Turn, form the ball, step, parting the wild horse's mane. White crane. Turn to the right, turn to the left. Brush knee, step and strike. Left hand closer to, right hand farther away. Prayer hands, but separated. Forming the ball forms the step. Parting the wild horse's mane. White crane. Brush knee, step, and strike. Left hand closer to, right hand farther away. Boom. rolling into my right foot. In case you've never watched a Water Tiger School video, just has always been in my memory. So there you go. A little bit of Shibashi or Shirbasher. Shirbasher, not Basher. What we call tossing your carrots from the first of the 8 sets of Shibashi for our warm-up, and a taste of the 24. Somebody else might be doing that too. I don't know if Water Tiger School lineage is the only lineage in the world that has put something like that together. Maybe, maybe not. Might be quite similar to the way you play those postures and the way you transition into them. Might be completely different. Postures may look very similar to the ends of your postures. They may look very different. We're all different. The diversity that's out in the Tai Chi and Qigong world is what makes us all better, because that gives you the opportunity to explore someone else's perspective and either decide, oh, their idea is a little bit better than ours, or, oh, that makes me feel a lot better about the way I'm doing things. Both are good things. So thank you for your time and attention. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you were somewhat entertained at times. As always, our comments, we preview them simply because, well, generally speaking, it's simply because algorithms for YouTube don't pull all the junk stuff, the hyperlinks to, let's say, get a date. That was the one that was always preference. That was always, not preference, but always showed up in the early days of the YouTube channel. So anyway, and we also post a link to this on our Facebook page, which is a little bit more open, but sort of the same thing on both. What we won't post comment-wise is if we get flamed. If you have some constructive criticism, great. Love to hear it. We can have a dialogue in the comments below, but be polite. If you do that on our Facebook page, you're not going to be on our Facebook page. So should be back in 3 weeks. Don't see why we would break. It'll be something else, kind of like Shibashi, brand new to the Water Tiger School lineage, and an approach to Qigong and more or less meditation. So that should be exciting for some folks. And if you celebrate any of the end of the year holidays, I know we've missed some by this time, then great. I hope you have had or will have a great time. If you don't celebrate any of the holidays, I hope you continue to have a great time anyway. And take care, be safe, and I guess we'll catch you on the other side. Thanks again.